If you're thinking about going to business school and studying an MBA in Europe, well, Ireland is a great destination. Of course, you've got world-class education, the warmest of welcomes, an incredibly rich, diverse culture. It's one of the more affordable places to head, and of course, has become the home to multinationals that include Amazon, Google, Apple, Accenture, the list goes on. And it's a delight for me to welcome two MBA experiences. Doris Nazgoy from UCD, UC Dublin, who studied her undergrad in civil engineering at Zhejiang University of China, and pre-MBA experience in project management, design, engineering in Tanzania, and very much focused on sustainability and development. And joining her, Breda Bosch. Breda is at the Trinity Business School. She studied at Gonzaga University on the West Coast, studied business for undergrad, and again, pre-MBA experience across operations, partnerships, international business from China to the UK and Ireland. Welcome, both of you, to the Centre Court Festival. Thank you for being with us. And Doris, perhaps I just gave a very brief introduction, but tell us about your own path that then led you to studying an MBA in Ireland.
Yeah, so hi everyone. My name is Doris Ndaskoy and I'm originally from Tanzania. My background is in civil engineering, where I worked in different sectors in engineering, on-site office work where I did design engineering. I did different structural analysis for buildings and off-site. I worked in different construction projects, so I worked as a project manager. Yeah, so I've worked in engineering for 5 years and I developed an interest in business. That's why I decided to pursue my MBA
Well,
here in Ireland.
very curious about the world. Your studies in China, we were saying before we started the recording that you learned Chinese, which must have been a big challenge.
Yeah, it was a very big challenge because Chinese has different two forms I can say where you have to learn it in pinyin. I think that's the normal words that everyone can understand, and then characters that has all those different shapes that are very complex for people to understand. So I had to learn both. It was very complicated initially, but then I coped to the environment. And the locals are very friendly, so you get to practice with them whenever you walk around. And the teachers are also very great. So, yeah, it was a good experience for me, I can say.
Well, this weekend in Dublin, Breda, they were speaking the international language of rugby, and you
Yeah.
got to experience that. Again, but tell us a little bit about a path and this idea of choosing Europe to get your MBA.
Yeah, sure. So like you said, I studied business as my undergrad. Marketing was my concentration. But I decided to pivot a little bit right after that, and I worked in nonprofits and English training centers. So I pivoted into international education and found myself teaching and then taking on more business operations roles throughout my career. International education brought me all over the world. I also was in China. I was based there for 2 years. I'm sure my Chinese is nowhere near as proficient as yours is, Doris. But it was a really fun language to try and learn. And yeah, I'm really interested in different cultures and how they come together, how we communicate, how we collaborate. And as I started to get into more management roles and senior roles in education companies, I realized that there was some business acumen that was just missing, that I really needed to brush up on. I want to make a bigger impact in these companies and have my ideas maybe be taken a little bit more seriously when I'm speaking with executives and senior leadership. So I started looking into doing my MBA. I was based in the UK at the time, so initially was looking at schools over there, but Ireland just kept calling. And yeah, I wanted to be, somewhere in Europe. I've been to Europe a few times. I've worked in Europe before, and it's just an exciting place to be. I think, especially in Dublin, we're in a such a hub, like you were saying, for all these international companies. So the job opportunities post MBA were a big drawing point for me to come here too.
Well, we talked about language, and Breda, you talk about the language of business and the credibility that that then brings. So, in
Yeah.
thinking, returning to business school, it's a big investment. How did you decide that that was the right next step? Tell us a little bit about the thought process that led to your MBA at Trinity.
Yeah, sure. I mean, really, I was feeling stuck in my last role. I was an operations manager, and I felt that, I had a lot of like, now I'll say strategic ideas, but the strategy behind them and the way to convince like upper management that it could be the right way to go for the business. I was struggling with putting words to these ideas and convincing my supervisors that this could be a good way to go. So the MBA, I was thinking, I do want to go back to business school and I want something more deep than just my bachelor's degree, which was 8 years ago. So honestly, I've a lot of what I learned in my MBA as far as business goes has been lost in these years of working in education. Um, and I was already based in the UK, so I started looking at schools over in the UK initially. But what drew me more to Ireland was the visa pathway. So both countries, they allow for you, if you do a master's degree, to sponsor your own visa for 2 years after, which is really amazing, especially if you've been working abroad before. It's not so easy to be tied to a company sponsorship for a visa. So to have that freedom and flexibility was really important for me. And the visas here were a lot cheaper than they were over in the UK. And I also had a lot of friends in the UK who were struggling to find work on that visa. I think companies in Ireland are definitely more open to hiring you. They know that the visa is going to expire at some point, but there's more of a culture of like sponsorship, I think, when it comes to international employees here, at least from the research that I'd done and from friends' experiences. So I started looking at schools here. I'd walked on Trinity's campus a year prior, and that just stuck in my mind for a while. It was so beautiful, and I really loved Dublin, the feeling that I had here. I also looked at UCD too, but I had scheduled a call with the admissions advisor at Trinity first, and they just sold me from the first call. So that's pretty much how I ended up there, and I've been really, really happy. It's such a lovely school and great program.
Right. Doris, you had a more technical background, of course, with civil engineering. Again, this the same sense of bringing that technical background with the business skills. Was that part of your thinking of heading to business school?
Yeah, actually, so initially when I was still in China, I knew that I wanted to do my master's in Europe. I just didn't know what country or university I wanted to. So I took a lot of time to do my research in choosing what university I wanted. So I did some research in different universities across Europe, and then just Ireland also just took me off the way Breda said because the education system here is very good. It's also one of the fastest growing economies in Europe. And why I chose UCD, it's because first of all, it's the number one business school in Ireland. Sorry about that, Breda. And then I also did a very good research, and I found out that it's a triple accredited university, meaning that it's accredited by different three of the top bodies of accreditation in the world. That means it's very good in its teaching, its curriculum. It has got a good connection with industries. And the faculty program office is very supportive. So when I communicated with them, they also sold me out, like Breda said, with
Mm.
Trinity. So they're very supportive. And yeah, I was just drawn to the university. And one thing about them is that they really love people from technical backgrounds because I was very scared seeing that I only have my technical background. I don't have any skills in business. Being an engineer, you need to know that engineers are not exposed to things like presentations or studies. So I knew I needed these skills to be able to integrate into the business world. So having to be exposed to such a diverse culture and environment has really helped me so far because now I'm more confident that I'm able to speak in front of a panel, present myself, analyze different case studies and different business scenarios, think critically, a very important skill that is needed by business professionals. And I've managed to hone the skill so far, and I can say that I'm very confident.
Right. Was Doris, with already 4 or 5 years of professional experience, then a 1 year MBA course length, was that important as you compared perhaps 1 year in Europe versus 2 years in many of the North American schools?
Um, I would say the 1 year in Europe is would be easier for me because they've integrated everything in 1 year. It is workload, but then there's a lot of support that you gain and a lot of insights that you gain. You get to work with different industry professionals. We get to experience different guest speakers from different industries that come and teach us different things about businesses. So I think everything is integrated in 1 year and we get to experience the same type of education and workload that other universities that do their MBAs in 2 years. So
Mm.
I think we get to experience the same equal type
Yeah.
of education that they do.
Well, perhaps we'll talk about the intensity of that learning experience and everything that you managed to fit in. But first of all, of course, meeting your classmates. Doris was talking, Breda, about her technical background, the student mix, and I'm sure that's an important part. What about your MBA classmates and also the alumni that you've met?
So our class has a diversity of people from different work environments and cultures. We have people that have a financial background, marketing background. We have doctors. So we get to experience different insights from different professionals, which makes our class discussions very insightful and very lightning. And when you talk about the alumni from the university, they're very supportive because some of them have engaged in mentorship programs where they get to mentor us and they provide career and guidance and advices that will help us in career growth. They also help us in exposing us to different job opportunities, which is very good for us because seeing that we come from different countries and we don't know how to navigate our way through different industries in Ireland. So being exposed to these professionals has been very helpful to us and makes the job hunting experience easier, I can say.
There must be expert faculty, Breda, at the front of the classroom, but do you feel that you are learning as much from your classmates as the professors?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Sorry,
Sorry.
Oh,
Breda.
yeah, I definitely think so. Our First of all, our educators are wonderful. I've been really, really touched by how intentional and thoughtful a lot of our lecturers have field experience. So they're coming in and giving us real world examples, which is great. They also love to let us discuss. So our discussions in class have been so insightful. We also have a highly international cohort. It's like 90% international. Um, and the discussions are so rich. Everyone's coming from different backgrounds, different cultures, and the perceptions have really given me new insight into business problems that I definitely wouldn't have had in my teams in workplaces that I've been in.
When you were first starting, Breda, because of course, so many clubs, activities that you can choose, your course load as well. Um,
Yeah.
how do you find that balance in terms of, the classroom and then everything that's taking place outside of the classroom?
Yeah, that's a great question because it is, as Doris was saying, like a year, you do get a lot packed into there. So it can be intense, especially with coursework and the amount of hours you have to be in the classroom. But I find that the community, for one, like the class that I'm in, we really encourage each other to go to the extra events. And because we enjoy each other's company so much, we want to go to different networking events. We want to go hang out, if we've had 6 hours of lecture in a day. Like we're at the pub after to like debrief with each other. Um, and Initially, it was hard with the time management, trying to fit in all the different things. For a lot of us, we're moving to Dublin for the first time, maybe Ireland for the first time. So there's so many things to explore. There's Dublin's such a big city, so there's like concerts, there's theater, there's all these different things that you can do every single week. So saying no to things is difficult, but you can say yes to a lot, which I found like you just have to be good with your time management.
Right. How could we have a session about studying in Ireland without mentioning pubs and music? Of
Of
course, we
course.
have to go there. But Doris, just again with the intensity of the program, are you nevertheless then able to choose certain electives and personalize part of the learning experience?
Yeah, so we have different activities that we do outside of the working studying environment, I can say. So students were initially open to creating their own cultural clubs. Like I'm one of the co-founders of the Sustainability Arts Club in my MBA cohort. And we have different other clubs like the AI Club, Product Management Club, where the people in the Product Management Club invited guest speakers from product management or different MBA students, and not just MBA students, but also students from other programs can come and join into this club. So yeah, it's been a good experience getting to interact with people in this type of culture
Right.
events, I can say.
You were talking, Doris, about Ireland having some of the strongest economic growth in Europe. In planning next steps of your career, how do you then work with the career management team at UCD and build networks and the skills for the next steps of your career?
First of all, the career management team in UCD has been very supportive. Like just last week, we conducted mock interviews where they invited professionals from different industries. We got to experience an actual interview footing, something that I never experienced before. I think this is something that I really needed because I knew that with my presentation skills before, they were very poor. So getting to experience that kind of environment, seeing industry professionals interview me and wanting to know how I can present myself following the STAR method, I can say that we learned in class, I was able to stay aligned and focused and organized in how I presented myself, how I analyzed my case studies. So I know that if I manage to, I know I will get an interview opportunity, I'll be able to hone the skills that I gained from my career management class, and I know I can do a better job in my interview experiences. So the career management team at UCD has been very supportive. In networking events, they've managed to bring us different professionals. We're able to network with people. So I think these are great skills that we're supposed to utilize as students, MBA students, for our career experiences.
And here you are presenting to thousands of viewers of the Poets and Quants community. So clearly those courses have been working. Breda, when you started the program, was it important to know what you wanted to do next in your career, or is the opportunity to explore different industries?
Yeah, there is a huge opportunity to explore. And I think a lot of my classmates have come into it similar to me, where we're thinking about pivoting, where we want a year where we can really dive into ourselves. It's a self-development year, explore if there's something different out there. And we also have career counselors who are given to us at the beginning of the year, where we get to talk about what our personality types are. We take different tests, we look at our career history, and we go through CV workshops and interview workshops and kind of decide where to go with that next and make a strategic plan for it too. So I felt that, yeah, there's a lot of people who come into this MBA thinking, I could never go back to, being an engineer again, or I could never go back to being a doctor again. I want to see what else is out there.
Is there anything, Breda, that's surprised you with the idea that you had of MBA business school, something unexpected, perhaps even something that you've learned about yourself?
Hmm. Well, I would say the most unexpected part has been like the support and how like confident and calm even with the amount of hours and coursework. I think maybe a little bit is because of Ireland. Like the culture here is so nice. I lived in London before, and my nervous system I felt was just reset when I arrived here. Um, but on top of that, the MBA itself, there's this like for me, my perception of doing an MBA is like you're wearing a suit to class every day. It's a highly competitive atmosphere. You're having late nights every single night. Everything is really, really stressed. Although there's been a lot of stress and there's a lot of work and there have been some late nights, it's not that kind of energy. Um, Trinity, I think, does a really good job at finding a cohort that is full of intentional people who just want to lean on each other and support. A lot of high performers, people who've been managers and leaders in their last roles, but everyone is looking out for each other. Everyone wants the best from each other. Even the educators, the company panels that we've presented to, there's been a lot of really, really positive feedback, which has made the experience so different. You also don't have to wear business casual to class, which is pretty incredible. You can dress it however you want, not to the networking events, of course.
Right. Now, Doris, perhaps next steps, in a very successful career. And often we think about the ROI of an MBA and we measure it understandably in terms of dollars and euros. But again, as you think about what you've learned about yourself, this idea of self-confidence, are there some intangible aspects of the MBA and what you're gaining as a person that perhaps we sometimes miss in the rankings or those ROI measures?
Um, First of all, when I decided to opt for my MBA, I did not just think short term, looking for a career after my MBA. I also thought long term because I have a dream of coming to start my own business, real estate, to just integrate my technical skills with the business skills that I gained from my MBA. So um, I think the investment is very good because you get to learn different skills like critical thinking, the financial skills that you learned here, things that I did not know before my MBA. I also tried to do some business opportunities before my MBA, and after my engineering skills that ended up failing because I did not have some skills that I needed were very I knew that were very important for businesses. So what I've learned so far, the skills that I've honed, critical thinking, financial skills, my interpersonal skills, communication skills, everything that you get to learn from an MBA will not just build you for your career experience, but then beyond that, if you're thinking long term, starting your own business, every skill that you gain from your MBA will be very good and useful for your life after.
Has there been one moment, Doris, where you're like, wow, that was completely unexpected? Something that you felt that has really had impact?
I would say it's the Global Network Week that we had in October, where the university invited students from different MBAs universities across the world. I got to meet students from Yale universities and these big universities and get to know how these people think. I could not compare myself to them initially because I just joined in the MBA program. But then, like, these people are very friendly and helpful and supportive and, sharing their skills and insights. So, and we also got to visit different companies during that week. So I got to see all these big companies, how all these global companies work, how they operate, and getting to learn insights from all these industry professionals. So for me, it was a very good experience, something that I never experienced before. So yeah, I would totally recommend such an experience to anyone.
Right. Breda, have you had a wow moment? Or many?
Yeah, say last week. So we have a big, like year-long, it's called a strategic company project, where we get put into small groups, and then we get paired with a company that's here in Dublin or here in Ireland. And we do a big strategy consultation for them throughout the year in 4 different stages. Each stage, we have to present our findings and research to the company and a pathway for change for them. And we had our very first visit to the company site on Thursday. The company I'm working with is at the airport. So it was pretty incredible. We did our presentation, we got amazing feedback. And then they took us on a tour of the tarmac and the fire station. And we're in this like massive fire truck going across the tarmac. And I got to sit shotgun and hold the like water thing and squirt water at like random objects. And I was looking around thinking like, I would not have this experience anywhere. Like, how did I end up in a fire truck after this like company presentation, walking around in our business casual outfits? And it was pretty incredible.
Well, both of you radiate, the energy, the enthusiasm of the experience. It's wonderful to be able to capture that and share that with the Centre Court audience. So perhaps finally, for both of you, Doris, our viewers are thinking about their next steps in their personal and professional development and where the MBA might fit in. So what would your advice be to them, considering an MBA and considering studying in Ireland?
So the first thing is know your why. Why do you want to do your MBA? Because an MBA is a very big investment, so you need to know what you want to achieve from it, you know. And if it's Ireland, I would totally recommend Ireland because it's literally where all these global companies have their European headquarters here. And like I said, it's also one of the fastest growing economies in Europe. So and another good thing is that Ireland offers the 2-year graduate visa where students are able to, work after their studies. So this is a very good career path for students. And for UCD, I can say we have we're exposed to different things that I don't think most universities are exposed to. Like this year, we'll be attending an international, career and projects that we get to do in different countries outside of Ireland. So this will be a very good experience for students to get to learn different business development opportunities in different countries. So this will be a very good skill to just get to learn different opportunities in other countries. And for the faculty program in UCD, they're very supportive. It's a school that's connected to very good industries and companies. So I would totally recommend anyone who wants to come and study in Ireland, in SmartFit in particular. So everyone is very welcoming. It's a very supportive community, and I guarantee that you'll be set up for success in your MBA experience.
And Breda, I guess on your LinkedIn profile, not only can you talk about in-depth corporate strategy, but also riding shotgun in a fire truck. What would your advice be to anyone considering the MBA, and as we asked Doris, considering Ireland as a destination?
Yeah, for sure. I think the first thing that comes to mind is don't be intimidated, especially if you come from a background that's not business heavy. Um, it's the programs and the support and the people are so diverse and helpful to catching the wave and getting on board. It's really an upskill type of a program. So if you're coming from a background that's not in business, don't feel intimidated. Um, and the second thing, as far as doing an MBA, would be to reach out to students and ask for their experience. Find students on LinkedIn, send them a cold message because obviously we love talking about our experience. And then as far as Ireland, it's an incredible place. The country's beautiful. There's so many options to explore, to see the outdoors. The people are so kind and welcoming. So as an international student, it's an incredible place to be. And then as far as the economy and the jobs here, there's a lot of excitement and a lot of things going on. So if you're in the business world and you're coming out of it, or starting in it for the first time, I think it's a great location.
Well, you talk about reaching out to students and alum that love talking about their programs. We were very fortunate to be able to speak with both of you for Centre Court. So, Doris and Brida, thank you very much for a great session about studying for your MBA in Ireland.